Welcome to Empowering Women a podcast that was designed to help women build their confidence, their self worth, their self esteem, and most importantly, their faith in God. Before I start the show, I usually like to start out with a poem that I wrote for our mothers or just families in general. So the title of the poem is Poem slash Prayer for Families and Children. Dear God, we lift up our children, parents, and families before you. Every single family, every nuclear family, every extended family carrying burdens unseen. God sees you. Elroy, he sees you. Every mother striving to lead with love, every grandparent whose prayer has not gone unheard has become a legacy. Every caregiver, you have not been forgotten. Mentors and friends who pour hope into the lives of our children. Lord, bless our homes with peace, joy, love. Make our conversations kind, our hearts filled with forgiveness. Lord, teach us to love one another with patience that never grows weary and grace that never runs dry. Protect our children, O God. Guard their hearts from fear, their minds from confusion, and their steps from paths that lead them away from your truth. Oh God, help them to discover who they are. They are a royal priesthood, wonderfully and marvelously made, deeply loved, even if you do not feel it. You are loved by our Heavenly Father and created with purpose. Strengthen every woman who feels like their world is crumbling, feelings of being overwhelmed by responsibilities, who wonders if her sacrifices matter. Remind her that every prayer whispered, every tear shed, every lesson taught in love, and every embrace given in faith plants seeds that can change generations. Oh God, when life feels troublesome and uncertain, be our anchor. When trials arise, be our guide, be our strength. And when joy overflows, may we never forget who the blesser is and give you all the praise. We choose to believe whatever is planted in love today will bloom into hope tomorrow. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So today we have a very special guest with us. And I would love for us to welcome him to our show. Mr. Renford Jeffrey. Welcome to Empowering Women. To tell them a little bit about you and who you are. So the show today is entitled The Power of Partnership, Supporting Women's Success. And I will just say before I tell you a little bit about our guests, this show is not about men rescuing women, right? Our guests will highlight the importance of partnership, respect, advocacy, and shared responsibility. He will offer a unique perspective on how communities and families can work together to support women. Our guest has dedicated his career to serving individuals and families through community outreach, family advocacy, addiction counseling, and mental health. So together we will discuss how healing families, strengthening communities, and building healthy relationships can empower women for generations to come. So, Renford, tell us a little bit. Welcome again. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this day. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I was born in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica, Waterhouse, and the largest inner city community in Waterhouse. My father, I'm the last of four siblings. I have two brothers, one sister, and I'm the last child. And when I was 3 months, my father emigrated to England. So you could say from I was 3 months, I didn't know my father. So my mother, in effect, we were raised by a single mother until my father returned 17 years later from England.
Wow.
So I didn't know him. And he just returned for 2 weeks and left again.
Wow.
So all through those years, my mother, four of us, my mother was struggling as a single mother, very challenging situation, moving from home to, trying to make ends meet. But I want to say, after my mother died, I sort of understood
sorry about
more.
that, Renford. Sorry about that. Accept my condolences.
Yes. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So the plan, when my mother, I guess everyone have an understanding of what they call the Windrush generation.
Mm-hmm.
People leaving after World War II, the motherland, England, was in need of development. So my father was a carpenter. So he went to England. So the plan I heard was that
the motherland for Jamaica. Since we were,
that's what they call England.
Yeah, because we were
colonized by, first enslaved,
mm-hmm.
and then colonized by
mm-hmm.
by Britain.
Right.
So prior to independence, which is 1962, after World War II, England was in need of development. So thousands of workers left from the Caribbean and the Commonwealth countries to go and build England. And my father was a carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
So he left to go to England to find employment and all of this stuff. So the plan was for my mother to follow him shortly after. But the plan was that he wanted her to send us to the country, in the rural area, to stay with grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother said she's not leaving her children. She's going to struggle with her 4 children.
Good for her.
I'm very happy for that. So I'm very happy that I grew up with my mother, because it was my mother. And many thousands of people did that they left their children and went away.
For a better life.
And yes. I could so-called better. What is the better life in a way?
No, but that's what they think.
Yeah, that's what. Yes,
that's their perception. That's why I say
yes.
Because leaving your children is never a better life. If you even go for a better life, then you should make some arrangements to get the entire family wherever you are, right, with you. So you understand clearly then what the struggles are for a single parent, a single mom. So let me ask you this question. It's kind of a loaded question. What role can men play in creating communities where women feel valued, safe, and empowered to reach their fullest potential? Even thinking about your dad and what he did, because I'm sure that must have been painful for mom, right? Especially, was he sending money home? Was he sending clothes, shoes?
He was sending not sufficient.
Okay.
It wasn't able to make we were still in poverty. Well, it kept us alive, but I grew up within a refrigeration. I never had more than one pair of shoes at any time. So sometimes you go to bed without food on Sundays when everybody's having their sumptuous meal. You're drinking porridge. Morning,
Better than
it's
nothing.
yeah.
There are some kids that have
When you check it
never.
alive,
Yeah,
yeah.
but at least your mom, if it's even porridge,
Mm.
and porridge is very good for you, right? Very
Yeah,
healthy.
she did. She did all her best. She did her best and gave us a good life
That's good. Thank God.
and
So
kept us alive.
back to the
Hmm.
question: what role can men play in creating communities where women feel valued, right? And safe,
Yeah.
empowered to reach their fullest potential? I mean, women in general.
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump off on the same. You mentioned the word valued, and that's where it starts. They need to attach a value to women and realize that women are very important, very essential,
Mm-hmm.
and necessary. And in so doing, attaching a high value to them, you support them in their struggle and in their endeavor. Like I overwhelmingly, for the most part, I have occasions to be interacting with women in my line of work,
What's the name of
and
your? What's the name of your? You have an organization. Just tell the audience.
yeah, I call it the True Love Revolution
Mm-hmm.
Global Network, where essentially speaking, I'm demonstrating love
Mm-hmm.
in different ways, and I have a definition of what love is. True love is always acting in the best interest of others without
Unconditional
any,
love.
yes, without any expectation of reward or payment or recognition.
Yes.
And that's what the women need. They need true love. They need
Yes.
people to get out there, these men to love them.
Yes.
And this means that you don't attach, because the going concern, there's a lot of women are struggling,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't find the help that they need because you have many of the men, they're saying, we're not going to help you if we don't have a relationship with you. And that's not what true love, that's not what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And the help could be in the form of, when it comes, they're looking for meaningful relationships. So affirmation, just for people to even acknowledge what they're going through and giving them a listening ear. And whatever the need is, just try to fill that gap. So it's not very hard. It's not rocket science. So somebody, a single mother, a woman, she's working a 9 to 5 job, and she has to come home and pick up children from daycare and then go home and cook and then clean and wash and then go to bed 11 o'clock in the night and wake up by 4 o'clock a morning to start all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just look at it and say, how can I help this lady? It could be like, go and do a little grocery shopping, maybe cut the lawn, do a little chore, anything that can alleviate. Sometimes they just need somebody to talk to them. I have sat up throughout the whole night talking to single mothers. Why? Because I know they just want somebody to listen to them.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
A listening here.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have to become very perceptive in the sense that I don't think we're sensitive enough to the needs of others. And we actually see people and just take them for granted. So not only the fact that my mother was alone, but I deal consistently with single mothers, and I know the plight and I know the struggles. And it doesn't take a lot sometimes to be of help. So I do whatever is necessary. Maybe they need back to school supplies, whatever, the backpack, you name it, groceries, whatever the need is, see how best you can help. Or if you can't, you see if you can help them to access the resources in the community. But it's very, very essential. The women, honestly speaking, are carrying the bulk of the work in many respects. And the men, they are some supportive men, but they believe that this is the role of a woman. She's the one supposed to go to school, parent teachers meeting, take the children to doctor's appointment, come home, cook, clean, wash. Some of them are out there playing domino or just work, or they believe that what the woman is doing is not work.
Mm-hmm.
Them going out and work is real work. And so they don't add value to what she's doing and support. yes, like let me give you a little scenario that took place. In fact, I was speaking to this single mother just before we went on, and I told her I had to break, and she was there washing away. She's married, and she gave me a scenario last Sunday
She's
where she was
married,
cooking.
but she's a
Yes.
single mom. So she has a
You call it
husband, but
married.
it's as
You have
if
a new term
she is
now.
single. Because
Sorry?
she has a husband, but it's as if she's single.
Yeah, they call it married single.
So I don't want to remember where you're going with this. So
Yes.
one thing that I would say personally, not trying to deviate from what you're saying, but even though a woman may desire to be loved by a man, a woman has to first love herself. Because if
Yeah.
you don't know how to love yourself, you can't love anyone else or even receive it, right? For me, I was married for many, many years, and I've been single for many, many years and still single, right? And I am so content with myself. I encourage myself in the Lord. I gave my life to Christ, and I just, maybe it's the mindset because I think differently, I'm sure, from other people. Other people think differently from me. And I would say too, if you're a single parent, even when my husband and I we went apart and got a divorce, I never took a man in with my children. Never did. And would not. Never lived with another man. Never had anyone come in that if you find the perfect person, great, but you cannot have men in and out. Because sometimes I
Mm.
know that we don't want to be alone, but we also have to think about our self worth, right? And our children's safety. Because sometimes you don't even know who you're picking up. So I think that's very important too. I think it's important to educate women that even though you're single, as hard as it may be, you can do it if you get the help maybe that you need, or just by working hard, being persistent and not giving up and trust in God. Because I'm telling you, in all things, when you trust God and put Him first and foremost, I know I'm not just speaking from experience, everything will fall into place. Tell me about that single mom. And we probably need to get a little group of men together where we can empower them, a workshop, and maybe get some
Yeah.
single moms together also to do some education. But tell me about the single mom before I go to the
In
next
fact, I
question.
can tell you all about that because this is what the Lord has laid upon my heart, where I'm actually targeting men,
Yes.
um, and literally acknowledging, first affirming them too, and validating them, and
It's important.
helping them to understand the role that they're playing. And I've been doing that in Jamaica on a continuous basis, targeting the men so that they can get more involved in supporting women. But uh, we know the history of how God created man and said it's not good for man to be alone and this and that.
Mhm.
So even though this mother, she's married,
Yes.
they have a lot of difficulties, and he moved out and went. So, but she has 3 children, and she was telling me an incident Sunday where she was cooking and the gas ran out,
Mm,
and she had a cylinder,
yeah.
but physically she's not strong enough physically as a woman. So she called him just to change the gas to cook food to give his children.
Mhm.
And he hissed his teeth and hung up.
Wow. Wow.
And she had to call somebody who is a male. She's not in a relationship, some stranger that she knows. So please come over and help me change this regulator so that I can finish a meal.
Wow.
Because as a female, she wasn't strong enough.
Wow.
So this is it. I have spoken to a number of men, like a friend of mine, and we're saying we need men to step up to just support women in that way, not being in a relationship with them. Just support them
Mhm.
in little things like these. They have something heavy to lift, they have something to carry, something to repair.
Mhm.
Even I have actually said that even for in the church community, some of the single mothers there, the men should take on some things like even fix their car, change their oil, change their filter, these simple little things that
For
would
free.
actually
For free.
for free, yeah, for free. For free,
That's
yes.
showing agape love, right? That's what love is all
Yes.
about. And I'll just say
Yes.
this too. My mind went blank. But we need to also tell men this. It doesn't matter what you and that woman have. Do not bring the children in it. That is so petty. That is so
Mhm.
childish. That is
Mhm.
so selfish, right? The children did nothing to you. So why are you going to
Mhm.
bring them
Don't
in your mess?
yeah. Not neglect your child.
Because of a
No
woman.
way.
Because of a woman.
Yes.
Next question, Renford. From your experience, what are some of the biggest challenges you think women are facing today in our communities?
Um. mm, First, I'm speaking from the perspective of the Jamaican community, and number one is to find employment, or even if they're working, just as we say, to make ends meet, to put food on the table, to juggle the whole, especially if they have children. I'm the president of one of this the president of a parent teachers association, and I guarantee you that if we have a meeting and 40 parents show up, 39 of them are female. So here is this lady now juggling. School is calling on her because the child is not behaving. Then she has to find food and bus fare and come home and cook and do all of that. They're just overwhelmed, basically speaking, and need any kind of support and help. And it's the responsibility, I know you're going to talk about the community, to step in and say, because we are designed by God to live in community, we are interdependent on each other, and commit other people to step in and say, you know what, we're going to help you and we're going to support you, because it's not only in your best interest, but in the community's best interest and everybody's best interest for us to support you.
Right.
And you cannot do it alone, no matter how independent you are. You need support, you need help. It's just to get the right people around you. So this same lady that I'm talking about, I just came off the phone with her just before we came on, as I said. And I said to her, can you find 6 people in your life who you say care about you, love you, there for you? And she hesitated and said, maybe you're the only one.
Wow.
And I said to her, I want to cry because that is sad.
Yeah.
You can't find 6. And mother, guess what? Mother is alive, father is alive, siblings are alive. You live in a neighborhood, a community, you go to church, and you want to tell me that between your church brothers and sisters, your family, your neighbors, you can't find 6 people you can rely on who are there for you, supporting you. You can call them up and talk to them. And it's not just a one-time thing, it's an epidemic.
It is. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to piggyback on something you say. It's so true, because people need people, right? There's a proverb: no man is an island, no man stands alone, right? We need people to survive. We do. Next question. I know you just mentioned the Caribbean, so of course I know that you do a lot of work out there in Jamaica, where you're from. And my question would be, would you say that there are similarities in the struggles that mothers are facing? You're in Canada, as Canada, or is it the same? Is there a difference? Is there a difference?
Yes, I'm in Canada for now. I just came up for 2 months. I'm going right back to Jamaica. So I'm just visiting. Yeah. Even though I spent 30 years in Canada, I've been reassigned. I'm down there for the most part. And let me answer your question. Yeah. The difference is that the access to resources that there is in Canada is not there in Jamaica. Like, you have subsidized housing here for single mothers, rent geared to income. You have they call it ODSP, or Ontario this safety net is there, like healthcare in Canada.
Free medical, free medical.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Housing, you, in fact, they have a law in Jamaica, in Canada here, that no matter how sophisticated and affluent the neighbor is, the developer must designate a certain percentage of apartments to people of a certain income, single mothers and whatever. So Canada, I'm not sure about United, but Canada, as far as I know, does a very good job. They, you literally can stay here and pay for nothing when it comes to healthcare. You have so many things.
We don't have
It's a
that
challenge to
here.
actually.
We don't have
Huh?
free health care here. So a lot of people will
Yeah.
not go to the doctor, and this is why people are so sick and will, die because they're not taking care of themselves the way they should. They don't have medical
Yeah.
insurance, and some will not go to the doctor because of that reason, right? And I mean, just go to
Mhm.
the hospital because they can't turn you away. But some people will not go. They don't have a primary care because they have no insurance. So it would be great if all countries could adopt the free medical like Canada does. I think that is just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Dental, optical, all of this stuff. You go to your doctor, no cause for checkup, investigations, MRI, CT scans, and all of this stuff. It's just like you go in and they're available. So that's a real blessing. That doesn't is not available in Jamaica. You have to pay for everything. I'm amazed at how
Or
people
if you don't
actually.
have it out there, God help you.
Yes, yeah. And this is why we should emphasize preventative medicine, like taking care of yourself,
Yes.
which I'm doing. Because if when I'm there and I'm unwell, no, I have to come here up in I can't afford it. And it's making sure that you are eating well. And how do you eat well? I'm telling you, I'm going there. One of the things that God did for me, and I'm very happy that He did, like I lived in Canada for 30 years, and when I retired, I went back. But I did not go back to a sophisticated life. I went back living amongst the people that I left all these years to understand their plight.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even listen. Me myself, and have a little income coming in. I can't afford the meat. So you live on sardines and mackerel because it's too costly. Like a pound of chicken is cost you maybe, I don't know, a significant portion of your salary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you find out that people are struggling
Mm-hmm.
financially. They rely on cheap bread and biscuit, and which increases the incidence of diabetes because I'm in the medical profession, and soft drink and all these stuff, and people.
Hypertension, kidney failure.
Yes. So it's a vicious cycle
Mhm.
that you have to be intentional about.
Yeah.
So even I have adopted a lifestyle that I'm actually teaching people, that I walk as much as possible. Like I walk like 1-2 hours per day. I even walk to
Yeah.
appointments to get the sunshine in, to get the exercise in, to sleep
Mhm.
better, to prepare your own meals, rather than going to
Fast food.
KFC and Burger King.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 pieces of meal cost you $2,000. You go take that and go prepare your
That's
meal.
right.
Go to the market and
That's
buy your
right.
food and your pumpkin and and cook up your own little food.
What can I tell you? Jamaica is not like when
Yeah,
I was growing up. I'm going to tell you how.
yeah,
Number one, we didn't have all these fast food places. We used to cook,
yeah,
right? And love to cook.
yeah.
People today, they don't want to cook, right? They want things easy. Farming was a big thing. Our people, even like people who can't find jobs, young men, turn your hand and make fashion, man. Go and farm and sell, things from the ground that, here we have all these different pesticides and fertilizers and, just unhealthy things that you're doing because they want the things to come like this, you know, and to sell it. But if you're out there and you can farm and give people good food and you put good food on your that's another option, right? So let me ask you this.
Mm.
Why is it important for men to be active partners in supporting women and families?
Well, if we go back, God's original design
Mm-hmm.
is that He said, And it goes both ways. Like people said, the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone, but it's not good for woman to be alone too, because you need each other. That's how the God's original plan. But we know things happen and divorce happen and stuff. But as much as possible, I call it. I came up with a term called surrogate family, where you need, if your family fall apart, there are so many people where their biological um family or the nuclear family falls apart. Find people around you to create what I call surrogate families, who are there for you, supporting you, helping you. And you have men. Men need to understand this is a drive that I'm making, that you can step up and help a mother who is struggling without trying to be in a relationship with her and sleep with her, whatever need. You go in shopping or you take over a chat. Yep. Like boys, the struggle is with these mothers are raising these, because Jamaica is what they call a matrifocal society, but overwhelmingly, in fact, they said 70% of the parents are single mothers.
Wow,
so you have
that's
mothers
a
and
staggering
grandmothers.
number. Wow.
Yeah, mothers and grandmothers and aunts raising these boys, and then after a certain time, they don't want to listen to them. And other men, because I have boys that I'm working with that I'm calling up. Even now, while I was waiting on you, I just text one of them from a single mother. How are you doing? How is school? How is work? So I'm encouraging men, and it's a challenge to say, take an interest in a young man. Find out how he's doing, check out on him. The last year I was here, I brought back some tools and distribute tools. These boys, maybe they want to learn a skill or a trade, they can't afford the tools. There's so many things that we can do. You see, if you develop a caring heart and a loving heart, you'll be surprised to know how many things you can do.
Everybody only thought like that because it's difficult for boys, young boys, to not have their dads in their lives. I mean, some fathers have passed away, that we can excuse because that's beyond your control, right? But for the people who are divorced, or men that just have babies, plant, seeds all around, and then they're not in their lives, that is so difficult for a young man. Very difficult for a young man. So if men, as you're saying, could step up, even the church, my God. I had a program the other day, and I said we have to love other people's kids. It's not just about our children. We have to take an interest in other kids, because there's so many kids out there that they're suffering, silently, right? They're suffering. So let's just move on to the next question. How does empowering women, you think, strengthens the entire family and communities? How we empowering them, how would that strengthen their families and even our community at large?
But if you actually look at it, who every person on the planet, they came from a woman.
True.
They came from a womb.
True.
Basically.
True.
So when you empower a woman, and empowering, even when it comes to even support her going back to school.
Yes, that's a good one.
Or better employment. And unfortunately, many of the men, I've come across it so frequently, where the ladies are saying, I want to go back to school, and they're like discouraging them, because they see their role as this same lady I'm talking about. She's working in a clerical job, and the opportunity arose for her to work in a hospital, and she was gonna jump at her husband, who is not involved, and husband on paper is discouraging her, and he's saying to her, what about the children? And then she's saying to him, yes, she's saying to him, so when I'm talking these things, and I'm talking from actual experience that I'm encountering, not out of. So she said to him, it's our children. And he said to her, it's your responsibility that.
Wow. I thought this was a partnership. It's not, a comparison kind of thing. Like, it doesn't matter who makes more money. It's a partnership.
Yeah. Yes. So you equally have to step up to the plate, do And even the whole idea of there's different roles for different genders, I don't believe that. I believe that as long as you have hands, you can come up and cook, and you can wash clothes too. Like them, you don't have to wait until dinner come home and serve. No, you come home early too. You cook some food. You go do some shopping. You do your laundry to alleviate.
Take turns.
Right now,
Take turns.
yeah, there's so many things.
Take
Yeah.
turns.
Yes. In fact, you shouldn't have to be asked. You jump in and you do what is necessary to support. So I think the mindset needs to be revolutionized to change. The mindset.
The mind, yes.
Yeah, the mind.
Need to be transformed.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And I believe, this is what I believe. If you know Jesus Christ and you truly are saved and you are saved, salvation, because the Bible said, if you are truly saved, the Bible said, do not be conformed, but be transformed. But there should be a renewal of your mind. So men who say they know Jesus, they actually should be more open to being supportive in this way. Making sure you come home, you don't have to be asked, you go pick up something, you go do the grocery shopping. Nobody should ask you, come do the cooking, come play the role, pick up the children from the daycare center, take them out to the park, take them to the library. In fact, I was watching something on YouTube recently, and this person said that she went to Singapore. And she said she was amazed by the fact that the only she saw when she went to the library, it's men and their children. She went to the supermarket, it's men. At the park, it's men.
We would need to adopt some of those principles. So I guess they are living by Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, right?
Yeah.
And be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Because a lot of us, we're not leaders, we're followers. So if my buddy is doing this, hey, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to look soft. You have men that think like that, right? So it's not putting the family first, it's putting their ego first. But that is awesome. I'm going to have to research that. So the next question I have for you is, what have you learned? Because you've worked with a lot of single parents, you've worked with nuclear families, extended families. So what have you learned from working alongside women in your professional career? What have you learned from them?
I think here's what I've been telling people, others and women, like from the get-go, because I heard you said something earlier, and you're exactly right about loving yourself. And when you begin to love yourself and understand yourself, then you put a very high value on you. And ladies have to be more discriminating in terms of the choices that they make. I'm not actually laying blame, and I'm not trying to guilt trip people. But let me give you a proper scenario. Like, let me tell you, there's a lady that I know, more than one. She has 9 children with 7 different baby fathers. So where's the responsibility to say, you know what? I'm not going any further after 2 or 3. You will end up with, you get what I'm saying? All right. So no, there are some things that nobody can do for you. You have to do it for you. There are some choices that you have to make for yourself. That God is.
Can I chime in? So just from a social work perspective, I hear you totally clear. But I remember even me, before I became a social worker, went and did my master's degree, became licensed and all that, my perception was totally different, right, of people. After I became a social worker and got all the training, 6 years of school, 4 years of bachelor's, 2 years of master's, I kind of see people through a different lens, right? So I'm going to just go back to this woman with the 9 children. We really don't know her story, right? Because as you said, women are craving for so many different things. So she probably had one or had 2 with one guy, I don't know. had a bad experience. Another one came and they gave her all the fluff, and she thought it was something great, right? And she got pregnant again. And then another one comes, she's in need, she have all these kids. It's so many different scenarios that not condoning it, right? Because you make choices and you have to make good choices, right? But there's so many different reasons sometimes behind the story. Women who have no self-confidence, no good self-esteem, and then they find themselves in different predicaments, and it's just sad, but there's always a story behind that person's issues. So go ahead.
You're exactly right, because these people I'm talking, I am working closely with them and doing practical things. So I know this, I kind of have a little idea. And many of the men, they may meet a lady with 1-2 children, and they said, if I'm going to get involved with you, you have to have a baby for me. So she's in a dilemma because, all right, for number one, here's the problem. Not enough ladies sometimes, they're educated enough or have a skill or a trade where they can say, you know what, I do. Yeah, so what so it's a matter of how am I gonna feed my child? So they are opting to, like, you know what, I have to get into a relationship with this person, even though I don't want it, but it's a means of survival. So you have to understand, as you say, the circumstance, and it's not coming from a judgment point of view, but to understand the circumstances rather than being judgmental and being critical. But what I do, I practically get involved because one of her child, I actually got money. The little boy wasn't going to school, and I got money to get his birth certificate so that he could get into school. Took him for a haircut, buy clothes for him, so I do practical things to elevate and encourage to go back to school, make resources available, because it's a vicious cycle that needs to be broken.
I agree.
And it's the same thing for me. We grew up in poverty, but I broke that cycle. Number one, my mind was renewed because I became a Christian and I saw things differently. Went to high school, graduated, went back to evening classes, got some subjects. So I did think. So when your mind is renewed, you don't sit down waiting for help. You become assertive. You do the necessary things. And here am I coming to Canada because God opens door, but you have to go in them. God is always acting in our best interest. Some people say, where's God? He's right here in our circumstances, opening doors for us, making things available. But some of us are blind. Some of us decide, the Bible says, all ye like sheep have gone astray. We're going our own way and this and that and whatever, and miss the path. But a loving God that we believe in, and he loves everybody and is acting in our best interest to bring us salvation, because salvation means to be made whole, complete. So God is not only interested in you going to church and singing and clapping, but he's interested in your mental well-being, your physical well-being, whether you have good to eat food. That is the God that we serve.
And we need more. We need more faith, right? And people have to realize that without faith, we can't please him, right? And another thing is we have faith, some of us say, but it's wavering faith. Faith without works, you said it, action, it's dead, right? So you have to put in the work. Don't expect that something's just going to fall out of the sky. You've got to put in the work. And back to that lady, I'm happy you're working with her and you understand her situation, but there are people out there that will judge. And, we have to come from a non-judgmental mindset when we're dealing with people who have been through so much. She maybe have had traumatic events in her life that you don't know about. She would pour me to beat her down and
maybe sexually assault. So just like Jesus.
You have to find a way.
The woman the woman at the well, or the woman caught in the very act of adultery. Jesus didn't pile on and pummel her. He gave her a way out, basically speaking. And that's what is our role. We are called to love. We are called to love.
And I was in a class the other day, and the teacher that was teaching, she made such a valuable point about the woman at the well. she was saying that that conversation could have gone so many different ways. The woman had how many men? Jesus could have said to her, you know what I mean? He didn't do that. He didn't put her down. He didn't call her out of her name. He welcomed her, and he spoke to her in a manner with respect that she felt like she was being seen, right? So it's important that we're respectful and we know how to communicate and how to listen so we can hear what is really going on in somebody else's life. So my next question, how does this has to do with mental health? How does unresolved trauma affect women, families, and future generations? We were just saying that about beating down these people. I just mentioned it. But how do you think unresolved trauma?
I personally believe that once you are born in this world and you have gone through life, there's a measure of trauma that we have gone through. And there are other people who are laden with more. There's a new body of science called epigenetics, where they are where I used to work, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, they are pouring in, and people can actually look it up. Epigenetics. What they are found out is that trauma can, what we actually call generational thing. There, scientists are now finding out that there are genetic markers that have passed down through the centuries, throughout the years, that actually is having a current impact upon people's lives. So what our forefathers went through, their genetic, because it was so traumatic, there are some genetic markers that have been passed down. So first, so you have that now, then meet with current situation that is going on in your life, because a lot of women and men too, but a lot of women, because I'm dealing with them, I could literally do a survey that they have never had a good relationship with their fathers. Sometimes it's abusive, sometimes it's absent, and that actually places some burden upon them in terms of the way they relate to men. And then literally most women at some time in their life, they have,
and even their children at times.
Yes, yes. So all of those the traumatic situation doesn't go anywhere and disappear in the air. It goes inside of you and shape you, how you think and how you believe and how you respond to situations
how
and whatever.
Behave.
So
your behavior.
Yes. So, and I believe in the Bible talk about deliverance. In fact, that what people need to be, in fact, we're all in the ministry of deliverance. Deliverance and salvation, it goes hand in hand, where people need to be delivered from their past, from their traumatic situation. Sometimes it's praying for people, but also helping them out of their situation.
Not only prayer.
Prayer
is not only prayer, as you're saying. Prayer is very essential, but we need to do some action. It's like you're saying to me, Les, I'm hungry. And I said, Renford, I'm going to pray for you. Did I help you? Yes, by praying. But at the same time, I could at least extend my hand, because we're God's hands and feet, and give you something to eat.
I'm just going to ask a question, because I don't want to sound, we have to ask the question, like with churches, if they're doing sufficiently enough. Even all right, Jamaica, Jamaica is in the Guinness Book of Record. We have more churches per square mile than any other country in the world per square mile, but it's not reflected in what you see every day. Like, I have been to a church down in Waterhouse there, and one of the ministers said to me to feed people, and it's not part, he said it's not the gospel. So his concept of the gospel is, he said, witness to them and leave them alone.
Oh, really?
And this is why, listen, the Bible said the goodness of God leadeth men to repentance. And this is why in some nations the gospel is not penetrating, because it's not the complete gospel. You can't say to somebody as you say, be warm, be fed. Because it's the love of God that is going to bring about the transformation. And God's love is not, I love you and walk away from you. If I have a need and you can meet it and you say, God love you, God bless you, I'm praying for you. That's not love. That's hypocrisy.
It is.
So the love, so the gospel is not penetrating because it's not mixed with love.
Absolutely. We're so far away from.
And when you're walking in God's love for you, you can't pass need just like that. Something gonna grab you and say you have to do something about it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, because that is absolutely true. What are healthy ways men can support women who are healing emotionally?
Number one, I think here's my being in the field and working with these women. I this is what I believe, by virtue of experience. If you are entering in any form of relationship with somebody, I think you have to do your due diligence to find out about this person, what they have gone through, their history, their past, because it matters as much as possible as you can.
This is why we need to court.
Yes.
We're in a microwave kind of syndrome.
Yeah.
So everything is fast, like the fast food chain. People are not courting each other. People are not getting to know each other. This phone business, it is so informal. People are not talking. Everything is texting. So absolutely, you need to find out about.
So from the get-go, and I would say the men's primary interest in a woman, you must understand, if you're getting involved in a woman's life, you are embracing her for who she is, the totality of who she is, and not just to have sexual intercourse with her. You're embracing her past, you're embracing her present situation, and you must be cognizant of that. So you're playing a role. And you should know that if there's somebody that you have an interest in, and when you do the woman is traumatized, you don't come further re-traumatize her by getting involved with her just because you want to have sexual intercourse with her, and then you're gone your way again. Use her. So these women go through trauma after trauma, breakup after breakup, because instinctively they're looking for companionship, they're looking for love. So if you intentionally, if you know that you have no interest in this woman's life and you just want to use her, don't. Leave her alone.
I hope you're listening. For those who are
support her, it is possible to support women. This is a problem in Jamaica and in many communities. I don't know how the business. You can support the ladies without.
It's a global problem.
Yes. I listen. If you develop relationship under those circumstances where you're targeting somebody because it's not going to work, and that is adding. Too many children are born in situations where the situation wasn't ideal because the purpose of them getting together. You come and see somebody and you end up in a one-night stand. And a lot of the women are vulnerable. Like I must honestly say, as a man, the women are more vulnerable than men in terms of being exploited and taking down a garden path of, as you said before, tell them some nice flower things. You're looking so nice. I'm interested in you. I can give you what you want. Some of them drive around in the latest car, and this lady's in need. So she's believing that God sent this person because he's saying all the right thing, and he looks nice, and he's driving a nice car. And then she opens up herself and she realizes that she's one of many.
Everything, what we need to, woman, everything is not sent by God, and not every voice you hear is coming from the Lord. No. So I'll just share this quickly before I move to the next question. In a show we had with a panel of people, one woman had mentioned that she's kind of mentoring a young woman who her mother calls her black and ugly. And even on the internet, this is why our kids need to sometimes get away from these social media. They're calling her that. Now, can you imagine your mom is saying this? if people are telling me this, and my mom, who is my mother, right, that brought me into this world, is going to tell me the same thing, how do you expect this young lady to feel? She's going to believe it, right? So if she goes out there and someone say, "Oh, you're so beautiful," what do you think? She is going to be like in awe, and she's going to gravitate to that. Somebody had replied and said that the mom should know, something about the mom should know that she's beautiful. But I'm saying, suppose the woman don't even feel beautiful herself, because sometimes the way how we feel, we project it on other people to make ourselves feel
Yes.
better, right? Next question. How can communities now reduce the stigma around seeking help? Because there are women out there that needs help, right? Whether it's financial, whether it's help mental, that's another big one, because sometimes people have mental health, they know it. Depression is a part of mental health. Um, how can
Mm.
they, because some countries, there's a stigma. People think if you have a mental health, you're mad. Not necessarily, because depression, anxiety, all these things are part of mental health, right? So take it away.
In fact, I've launched an initiative called Building Strong
Mm-hmm.
Communities. And the whole idea is to get stakeholders working together,
Mm-hmm.
schools and police and ordinary parents in the community coming together, meeting regularly and discussing the issues and the needs. Particularly identifying those who are at risk, who are in greater need. So it's the whole concept of that it takes a village. We need to come back together, begin to. I believe that we should have a trust fund set up for people who are destitute, who need help here. There's nothing widespread in Jamaica like food banks, and that is very prevalent. So even though Canada is a first world nation, there's a need for that because people are struggling. Um, clothes. I last year I was up in Canada and I sent on 3 barrels of things and I cleared them. Clothing, school supplies, all of these little things that parents need. Micro loans. Um, People are working and they don't have, when they receive their wages by the Monday, on a Friday, by Monday they can't find bus fare to go back to school because it disappears in. So in church is such a powerful place,
I
can do a
know.
lot,
I agree. I
like you
agree.
set up all these things,
Bring
but
all the meat.
many of the
Bring
churches
all
are
the
in.
meat in the storehouse. What does that mean? It's
Yes,
not for
but
my
churches
pocket.
are
It's for
insular
the
and many of them
church.
are insular, and if you're not
Yeah.
members, they don't care if you're not in. So even sometimes people are inside and they're not getting the help that they need. Because salvation, as we say, is wholeness. God is interested in your everything about you, your nutrition, everything. So many of them are not even interested in the inside needs of their mind, but much more outside. But the same God that loved the people in the four walls is the same God of the outside there. For God so loved the world. Because one of the things that why I'm passionate, God has called me to be on the outside, because I had a profound encounter with Him some years in Canada when the Lord said to me, "The people who are not doing well, do you think I
Of
love them
course not.
less?"
Of course not.
He
But
loves
can I
them.
add?
He loves the gay, lesbian. He wants to get them delivered. He wants them to experience His love.
Can I
Everybody.
add this? There are a lot of people out there too that
Yes.
have this notion, right? This perception that people are lazy. I'm not saying that you might not encounter that, but there's a lot of hardworking people who have two, three jobs and still cannot make ends meet. And they are not
Mhm.
lazy. It's not easy. I'm telling you, I go to the supermarket. I went this morning to the supermarket. You should see what I
Yeah.
picked up. Over $200. I was in the supermarket last week. Over 100 and
Mhm.
some. Things are not easy, right? So when we start to
Mhm.
judge our neighbors, because we're mean and selfish and don't want to lend a helping hand. There are people who are actually working their butts off to take care of their family, their children, and they pay the rent, they buy food, they can't even find clothes and shoes to give these children. You know,
Utilities, this and that, when they're fit,
everything.
yeah.
I have a storage too. And it's full of stuff because you're like myself. I love
Mhm.
people. That's my calling. I call myself a servant. I mean, I would give somebody the clothes off my back. I genuinely love people, right? And so, I really embrace that, what you're saying. I love that because the more of us who can get together and do for those who are truly in need, we're not talking about people who can afford it, people who cannot afford it, right? And there are people out there too with mental health problems who cannot work. There are people out there with disability that cannot work. And there's some people that have money so much that it's dripping off and they would not share. But thanks for that. Let's keep it moving because time is at hand. What is genuine respect? We're going to talk a little bit now about healthy relationships. So we'll 5 minutes or 2 minutes. How does genuine respect for women look in our everyday life? What do you think? What do you think that looks like? Genuine respect for women.
I think it has to be. It has its genesis. It should have its genesis in the fact that God made us in His image and in His likeness, and He does not place a lower value on women
Mm-hmm.
over men. He said us made, and He said God made them, and yeah. So it's coming from a place that this person is created by God, loved by God, and I must attach. In fact, God has attached a high value to you and I, and we have to attach a very high value to each other. So I have zero tolerance for anybody who wants to devalue other people. And sometimes the culture. Sometimes when I talk, I'm not going to be labeling a particular because it's global something. But we have become experts in devaluing people by calling them names. You are this and you're that and you're a dog and you're whatever. So when you devalue somebody, because you're talking about a human being made in the image of God, and when you devalue them, you lose anything that you devalue, you lose respect for it, and you have no reason to even treat it thing. So I may have a pair of shoes and it's broken, so it's no more valuable to me. So what do? I throw it out. In fact, first I break it down and turn it into a slippers, leave it outdoor, rain fall on it. So when we devalue each other, it is not, rather than respecting them for who they truly are, then we're gonna treat them. So anytime you see somebody treating somebody inappropriately, cursing them out and swearing and kicking, they have devalued that person and see them not the way God sees them. Because this is it. We should see people through the eyes of God. How does God see you? How does God see the homeless? How does God see the single parent? And this is where it comes from. And it takes a renewed mind to see people who they truly are. When you see them the way God sees them, you're going to treat them with respect.
And everybody will not see them the way God sees them because some people will say, I believe in God, but I'm going to tell you now, they really don't know Him. And in order to know Him, you must have a relationship with Him. You can't know Him if you don't have a relationship with Him.
It's all about
like
relationship.
being in a relationship here on earth with someone. And going back to respect in women, men, and women too, we have to listen. So you have to listen to each other. You have to listen to what people are saying. Absolutely, right? You have to know how to talk to people respectfully. And don't think that, you're so high and mighty that, you can just talk to people in any old way and call people out of their names. No, so we have to be very careful about these things and their boundaries, right? That's respect too, creating boundaries, So the next question for you is, how can men, some women could be included in this too, become better listeners? But let's say how men, because we're trying to empower our women, how can men become better listeners supporters, and advocates. 3 minutes, Renford. We're running out.
There's something called active listening where you all right where you we tend to talk over each. All right, if I don't and it comes from valuing, going back to the basic, I don't value you. I believe that what I have to say is more important than you. And even sometimes when you're talking to somebody, they're not listening to you. They're fixing to tell you what they want to tell you. So are we truly listening to this? Listen to understand. I already mentioned understand. Are we listening to understand and say what you have to say is important? I want to hear what you have to say. But if I don't, because the Bible says wisdom is the principal thing, and therefore get wisdom, and get understanding. And if you're not listening, or you're going to understand. So a lot of time people make assumptions. Sometimes you're talking and people cut you off without hearing fully what you have to say. So spend the time, and sometimes we all do it inadvertently. And we need to calm down and listen to this person and say, I need to understand what you're saying. So if there's mutual understanding, by listening intently to each other and asking questions and say, they call it reflective listening or reflective, where you bounce back something and say, I don't get that clearly. Can you say this to me? What do you mean by this? Because sometimes there's confusion. Yes.
If you're not sure, right? Yeah. And I think
here,
go ahead.
I'm going to say something, and it's not, I'm just speaking facts. I'm not being biased against anyone. I find out that when sometimes people are not educated enough and intelligent, you're saying something and they misinterpret it, and they actually get up into their feeling and say, what do you mean by very super sensitive? And guess what? You see, in Jamaica, the illiteracy is very high. Too many. It's over nearly by 250,000 people, 300,000 people cannot read and write, adults. And they're short-tempered, and sometimes you reason with them and they get up into their feelings and start to quarrel over something. And I say, I didn't mean that, because we don't listen carefully and we don't seek to understand each other. Yeah, so it's very key. And in the
something else,
yes, continue.
So resolving ignorance is a good, if someone can resolve their ignorance, but it's not easy. They need a lot of support and a lot of help, a lot of guidance, because some people did not get that growing up. And it's sad, but this is why we're here. If people have questions, they can message us, and we can help in the best way that we can. The next question for you is, what are some common misunderstandings that prevent healthy communication between men and women? Briefly, what are some common misunderstandings?
I would go the first, what I see, because I'm speaking from experience, where my role, I am more important than you, and I don't have to listen to anything that you have to say. And so there's always a power thing going on, where I find out in Jamaica, where the people who are in positions of power tend to devalue other people who are not. So principals and pastors, even when you look at the preaching, people preaching, yelling and screaming and talking down to people and calling names. When I just became a Christian, I used to go to church and come home back feeling depressed, and because it was cussing out for this, and I'm saying, why are you yelling and screaming? I'm right here like this. I actually rent in Jamaica. I don't purchase a house, I rent. And the landlord, and she's supposed to be a Christian, and she's Pentecostal and whatever, and the way she was talking to me all the time, out of and I say to you, if you're talking to me like this, I'm not going to communicate with you. I'm going to hang up the phone.
How could you empower her to be a better person? How could you empower her, without talking down to her? But
well, she well, she has come around now, and she has come down by me said, I'm not gonna. All right, it is human to retaliate and trade blow for blows, and you say no, that you're gonna go.
Having a bad day. You never know. That's what I'm saying. There's always a story somewhere.
So this is why we need to understand people's circumstances, and so get the time to know the person, know their circumstances, know their situation, and you're right. And then we can be more forgiving, we can be more understanding, because at the end of the day, we're all in this
All
thing
in this
together.
My next question: how can
Yes.
fathers positively influence their daughters' confidence and self-worth? Very briefly.
By how they treat the daughter's mother, their wife, their whatever. That's, you're setting an example in terms of how you act, because your children and your daughters are looking at you. I remember my daughter actually said to me years ago before she got married, and she said, "Dad, I want to marry to somebody just like you."
Isn't that nice? Beautiful.
And she got married, and her husband is great and very loving and very. So I set an example for my daughter, a blueprint in terms of how. And guess what? Even though she's 40 something like this, our relationship is like this. We're like friends. We interact. We talk back and forth. Because so I set an example by her. She was looking at me and seeing my life and how I'm treating her mother, and how I'm behaving. I said, I want somebody like you. I like what I see. So literally, fathers are setting the example for their daughters in terms of who they're gonna get involved with. So you're choosing your child partner by your behavior, and it's very important. You're shaping, without even knowing it, you're shaping their life. So it matters.
Men, I agree, and I applaud you for that. Beautiful, well said. How can men encourage women to pursue their dreams without trying to control their journey?
But the woman trying to control their journey.
How can you help a woman or encourage her to pursue her dreams, but without hindering her journey?
Every one of us, we are born with gifts, talents, and ability, and I believe that we all have something that God wants us to do, and we must realize, because the Bible said, I have a book called Not My Own. The Bible says you are not your own, you're bought with a price. But we are bought, you're bought by the precious blood of Jesus. And in Psalm 24 said, the earth is the Lord's and fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. So this is what I believe. No matter if I'm married, we ultimately belong to God.
Amen.
We're not owned by a person, we're owned by Jesus Christ, and He has a calling upon our life. So this woman said, you know what, I want to go back to school and become a nurse, because it has been on me. I believe God is impressing me that I should be a nurse or be a missionary or be whatever. And you're saying, oh no, you can't, whatever. No, God takes, and to me, if I say, if you say the Lord say you should be that, I help you in the process to facilitate you going back to do what you think God called me to do, whatever is necessary, free up time, babysit this child for you, go and pick up, do whatever, so that you can fulfill what you think God has laid on your heart. Not to impede it, but to empower you and support you. I'm not your God.
I'll give you two last questions. How can faith encourage both men and women who feel discouraged and unseen? Faith. Yeah.
Faith. God loves us. What revolutionized my life is my faith in God. Knowing the Bible says, faith worketh by love. So when I recognize how much God loves me, then my faith in Him grew. Because I struggle. A lot of people, even when it comes to single parenting and having father, they struggle with actually putting faith in God. Because here's my saying, I'm saying, if you are my biological father that I didn't see and you weren't there for me, how can I put faith in a God I've said, who I can't see, like a father who said, I'm your father. So I struggle. But when I realized how much God loved me, I could relax and put my faith and trust in Him. And when I put my faith in God now, He took over and began to navigate my life and open doors for me and opportunity. And that's what He wants to do. We must come to a place where we surrender our life completely to God and allow Him to take full control and be the Lord
of our lives, and understanding
Yes, Lord means in control and
And
making decisions.
understanding that God is not like man. His thoughts is
Yes,
so much way higher than ours, right? He is not like us. So we have to stop putting God in this little box and treating him as if he's just a regular person. He's not.
yeah,
So
yeah. And a little add-on, like it's a little Santa
there
Claus
you
that you call
go.
him up upon
There
him
you
when you have a
go.
little problem. But other than that, we appease him with a little church
Mhm.
attendance and a little
He's a
this and that. No, he has to be in full control, not on
no,
the
he's
little
a big
side.
God, I mean, the
He
creator,
should be the
big
main
God, creator
force.
of heaven and earth,
Yes,
of us, blue bread
yep,
man, and you
yes,
became a living soul. So we have, it's a lot to learn. And sometimes if we don't know, we
yes.
don't understand, it's all about revelation. So, I would encourage people, if you want
Mm.
to know more about this God, you gotta find a good Bible-based teaching church. Very important. So what legacy do you hope men and women can build together for future generations? And that's the last question.
Um, um, I actually, it's a good thing you mentioned the thing about legacy because this is what
Mm-hmm.
it's all about. We are not guaranteed that we will not be here forever. And if Jesus didn't come back, and we must leave a legacy. So men, God put it's all about leaving a legacy, and it's gonna take collaboration, partnership. Legacy are made and developed and created through partnership and allyship, or like that word. I looked it up. That's one
Yeah.
of Bill. I'm here with my daughter. They're gone out now too, and I see the partnership that she has with her husband and my grandson on account of the partnership that they have and the relationship they have and how they're building together. This little boy is 5 years old. He's speaking two languages
Wow.
fluently, French and
Beautiful.
English. He's reading at like high school
Wow.
level, and this little boy have it going. Why? Because of the partnership that they have
Yes.
developed. I'm here with them and I see them. They're working. They're taking
Beautiful.
turns. They're reading together. They take them up. So the union, they have a good union going. So that God is interested in legacies. In Psalm 27 verse 1, he said, verse 3 said,
They
children are a
are. They
heritage of the
are.
Lord. The fruit
Yes.
of the womb is
Mm-hmm.
his. So they don't
Amen.
belong to us.
Amen.
And unfortunately, we're not leaving a good legacy because we don't understand that God has assigned them to us and it's our responsibility to come together. So, at the moment you get together and you start to have children, it's no more
No,
about
not
you.
at all. Not at all.
You have to make the necessary sacrifice and the necessary commitment. And I find out that a lot of people are getting involved in relationship and having children and don't understand the magnitude of what it
Absolutely. So I
entails.
thought that was but I have just one more question. I think this one is
Yes.
profound. If every man listening today is committed to doing one thing to better support the woman in his life, what would you encourage him to do and why?
You need to understand what, because the Bible says like husband love your wife, but they are not. But many people don't understand what that entails. It means, as I'm going to repeat, acting in her best interest. In fact, what you want me to do? Look, if you mutually act in each other's best interest, you'll be fine. So you walk in and dinner is not cooked, and before you start to yell and scream and stuff, go cook them. Always just keep the
Yeah.
other person in mind and preempt them. In when I was in training, in nursing training, we had to go through general nursing. So we actually go into the surgery, the theater. And when the surgeon is operating like this, he does not ask you what instrument he needs for the next procedure. You have to predict it, and you hold out his hand and you give it to him. So parents, so partners, husband have to be more sensitive to the needs of their wife, and she don't have to ask. There's something you don't have to ask. So if you come home and the plate, the dryer, the sink full of dish, what do you do? You do the necessary thing. There's a Christian psychologist named Dr. Kevin Lehman, and very popular on the internet, and has written many books. And he has a book, and it's called Sex Begins in the Kitchen. And it's a play on word. Because most of the men believe that you have sex with your wife on the kitchen floor on the table. It means go wash the dish first and go clean up the house and put your wife in a. I was telling a good friend of mine this morning, to a female, and she's actually single, and said, women are very interesting. If things are not taken care of, you're not in a good space. Women are programmed differently. The children must be taken care of, built, and if not, you're not complete, because you're designed by men. Can just flippantly go out, come in, and don't care. But ladies care. So things are on your mind. You're burdened by this, you're burdened by that, you're burdened by school fee, parent teachers meeting, all of that. So if you can alleviate some of that without even asking, or if you want to say, what can I do, and take on responsibility more and more and more, and lighten the load and responsibility that she has, then everything will improve, all around improvement, and a better quality life for the children, who is the legacy that we're trying to preserve and to bring forth.
There's a saying, right? Happy wife, happy life. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Renford Jeffrey, for coming and sharing your wisdom and experiences with us today.
Yes.
Your work reminds us that empowerment is not just about personal success. It's about healing, advocating for others, building stronger families, right? And creating communities where everyone can thrive. To our listeners, empowering women isn't just a community, it's not just about community issue. When women are supported and respected, given opportunities to heal and grow, then we have better families, right? We have stronger children, right? They flourish and the communities thrive. So men and women each bring unique things to the table, all right? So I want to thank you, Renford, again for coming and for joining us today. I'm going to leave this this little thing here with you. Give me 1 second. I want women to remember this, that your voice does matter, right? And you find strength when you listen to programs like this. Your stories have purpose, right? And you're able to inspire hope in someone else's life, like Mr. Renford did today. So an equalistis, am I pronouncing it right? Equalistis?
Ecclesiastics.
So thank you. So in Ecclesiastics 4, 9, and 10, it states that two are better than one, right? And because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. So with that being said, this is a beautiful scripture, of course, and it emphasizes the message that lasting change happens when people support one another with humility, compassion, and mutual respect. And as the Proverbs say, no man is an island. No man can stand alone. So let us help each other out. Let us respect each other. Let's advocate for those that don't have a voice. And let us continue to do God's work. God bless you, sir. And thank you so much. God bless everyone. And God bless the United States of America.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.